Some games entertain us, some challenge us, and then there are those rare gems that leave an indelible mark in our hearts and minds. The Last of Us, developed by Naughty Dog, is one such game. Today, over a decade later, it stands tall as a timeless masterpiece in gaming. Why, you may ask? Because it isn't just a game, it's an immersive journey, a piece of art that speaks to the very core of what it means to be human. At its heart, The Last of Us tells the story of Joel and Ellie, two survivors navigating post-apocalyptic world ravaged by a fungal pandemic. But this isn't just another tale of survival, it is a story about love, loss, and the length people will go to protect what matters most to them. Over and above, what sets The Last of Us apart is its unparalleled depth of character. Joel, a grieving father hardened by tragedy, is a man who has lost his sense of purpose. Ellie, a teenage girl born into this bleak world, is a beacon of hope, humor, and resilience. This relationship evolves organically, starting as reluctant allies and growing to a profound, almost familiar father-daughter bond. The beauty of the relationship lies in its complexity. Joel isn't just a hero, he's deeply flawed, often driven by selfishness and fear. Ellie isn't just a
In
naive
this
teenager
review, I want to provide a unique perspective on The Last of Us story by analyzing it based on its four seasons. Together, finding really unique as how the game utilized this season as symbolic backdrops for the development of Joel and Ellie's relationship. The story deserves. Summer takes place 20 years following Sarah's death, and it is still strongly communicated that Joel is still emotionally closed off, reluctant to form a bond with Ellie or anyone else close to him. The relationship is marked by mutual distrust, and Joel views Ellie primarily as a cargo to be delivered for payment. Ellie, on the other hand, is eager to prove herself but struggles to break through Joel's heart and exterior. Nevertheless, we do get a glimpse into his caring side through his relationship with Tess, willing to support her against Robert, and more importantly, following through with her insistence on delivering Ellie to the Fireflies upon her getting infected. I won't be touching on Bill's character too much in this review, as I want to dive deeper into the autumn section and the ending. But however, briefly touching on it, his brief appearance provides a unique introspection on Joel's potential path in life if he had not followed through with delivering Ellie upon Tess's death, as he would be in a similar situation to Bill, alone and no one else around him to support. And then there's Henry and Sam, who in their relatively sparse appearance plays a pivotal role in opening up Joel, but also nurturing his relationship with Ellie and forming parallels with their relationship between him and his brother Sam. Autumn is symbolic of change and preparation, while it's also symbolizing Joel and Ellie's relationship beginning to differ as they open up to one another about their emotional values and sentiments for one another. By this time, Joel and Ellie's bond starts to deepen. Joel begins to care for Ellie as more than just cargo, while Ellie becomes more assertive and independent. Several instances, such as Ellie jumping off the truck to stick with Joel, whilst having safety with Henry and Sam, or when she jumps into the river without knowing how to swim, symbolize the development of mutual trust and care for one another, as Ellie starts to trust in Joel, believing that he will save her. While summer serves as the longest season in terms of game time, autumn is crucial for further nurturing Joel and Ellie's bond and forming distinct parallels with the brotherhood of Henry and Sam. We also see Ellie further open up to herself about Sam, particularly her greatest fear of ending up alone, which plays a pivotal role in their conflict in the coming section, but also remarkably alludes to the ending of part 2. Similar to how Bill parallels to a potential path of Joel, Henry's for me serves a similar purpose, whereas upon Sam's death, his overwhelming dread, sorrow, and confusion from failing his main purpose of protecting his brother leads to him taking his own life, a path made that have potentially unfolded if Joel were to lose Ellie, and also further contributes as a motivator behind his actions in the ending. To end off this section, the turning point comes when Joel is injured, leaving Ellie to take care of him, which highlights a complete reversal in roles, highlighting the growing interdependence while also independence of Ellie, as she now becomes the protector for Joel as he recovers from his wounds. Winter is harsh, cold, and isolating, reflecting the most challenging and transformative phase of the relationship. During this season, Ellie is forced to fend for herself as Joel lies incapacitated and brutally injured. This marks her transition into a protecting role, demonstrating her strength and determination, as I previously mentioned. Simultaneously, Joel's desperation to save Ellie when she is captured underscores how much he has come to care for her, distinctly captured by the moment where he brutally tortures David's men to reveal her location. However, retrospectively looking at the game upon Part Two's release. This season also signifies the moment Ellie loses her innocence, as the encounter with David, being forced to kill many of his men, whilst observing the brutality of the human race and its capacity to enact such deeds like cannibalism. For her, it changes her optimistic perception of others and her underlying regrets and sorrows from killing others. The brutality of winter, both in the environment and the events, cements the bond. By the end of the season, Joel's paternal instincts towards Ellie are full display, with subtle details such as Joel calling her baby girl, something he only used to call Sarah. Spring represents renewal and hope, but also the bittersweet nature of the journey's climax. Part of every journey is the end, and thus this part is perhaps one of the shorter sections of the game. It also marks a remarkable shift in monologue dynamics, as Joel shifts to being the talkative, playful figure, whilst Ellie, learning of humanity's underlying darkness, becomes closed off, unresponsive, and most importantly, loses her once unrealistic optimism of the world. As they reach the Fireflies, the culmination of the journey, Joel's action in the hospital demonstrates his depth of attachment to Ellie. He chooses to save her, even at the cost of humanity and Ellie's autonomy. This decision symbolizes the ultimate expression of their bond, though retrospectively, unquestionably taints their once serene relationship. I want to provide a deep analysis of this final scene, more importantly, Joel's action. The final scene in Spring, where Ellie asks Joel to swear he's telling the truth, leaves the relationship in a poignant, unresolved note, emphasizing the complexities of love and trust. Joel's actions in the hospital, coupled with his confident lie to Ellie, is the backbone behind the game's timeless discourse, which is still debated to this day. Were Joel's actions justified? Joel's action on paper may be viewed as morally evil from a utilitarian perspective, saving one life over the entire world. However, I believe his actions have much more emotional depth and merit than what meets the eye. Whilst deep down he knew Ellie would want to sacrifice herself for the world, the validity of the Fireflies and the research has always been skeptical throughout the entire story. The inadequacy to even identify Joel and Ellie as the key figures of the mission, almost endangering Ellie's life as she was drowning while Joel tries to resuscitate her. Also, they proceed the surgery without ever letting Joel and Ellie have a reconciling moment and go over their views and values on the matter. What makes them any better equipped to make the decision for Ellie over Joel, the individual who was more competent than the entire crew in bringing her to the hospital? Most importantly, the idea is such a deep inherent flaw that they unironically fail to see. In a world where humans are depicted as more dangerous and effective themselves, preying on the helpless, hunting down one another for resources, and even butchering one another to become food, how would this in any way be remedied by a vaccine? While it may protect uninfected individuals from contracting the cordyceps virus, it would in no way ever protect them from being eaten alive by a clicker, bloater, or even a straggler. Moreover, it would be nearly impossible to restore infected humans, as many have lost eyes, hearings, limbs, and much more. Most importantly, a vaccine would only perpetuate the ever-going rampage between humans, as humans would fight, protest, and step over one another to obtain the vaccine with the promise of being forever protected from infected. But the game has never been about the hazard. It was always been about us, how we may choose to sabotage one another, believe in survival of the fittest, or resourcefully cooperate to restore the status quo before the outbreak, of which Ellie served as a beacon of hope for humanity, and also rebirth for Joel's life, something he refused to let go and re-experience the dread from over 20 years ago of losing Sarah. The 4 seasons in The Last of Us serve as a powerful symbolic framework that mirrors the evolving relationship between Joel and Ellie, reflecting their growth, struggles, and ultimately their bond. The Last of Us isn't just about the Joel and Ellie, however, it's about us, the players, and the connection we form with these characters. It's about the way it challenges the notions of right and wrong, how it makes us feel every step of the way. It isn't just a game, it's a masterclass in how gameplay, narrative, and characters can seamlessly intertwine to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Whether it's Ellie's supportive presence, the nail-biting gameplay mechanics, or the heart-wrenching story, every element works in harmony to deliver an experience that stays with you long after the control is set down. A decade later, The Last of Us remains a masterpiece, not because of its setting or its gameplay, but because of its soul. It's a story that doesn't just ask to be played, it demands to be felt, and for that it will always hold a special place in the pantheon of gaming.